We'll call this July 26th Commission meeting to order. I'm extremely pleased that we have a very, very special guest to do the invocation tonight.
Yes, we
do.
And
I'm extremely excited. So if Mr. Teagan Jett would come forth and give the invocation, and then we will stand for the pledge.
Yes.
Thank you, God, for the city. I pray to you that you'll just help them with everything that they need to do. And if a situation comes and they don't know what to do, that you'll just help them figure it out and that they'll all be able to run the city. I'm not saying that they're bad citizens, but I hope you that you'll help them run the city very well and that everyone will help them and that the city will be very, very accomplishing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just before we get to the roll call and everything, just so we got this down, that's an 8-year-old individual right there who got up here, so I applaud you, buddy. That's awesome. Okay, we thank you very much. Roll call.
I want to know if I can go down and give him a hug.
You can let him come up here if you want.
Come on up here, Teagan.
She's a hugger.
Yeah.
Teagan, get up here, man.
I got to do you. You keep up the good work. That was great.
Yes.
Roll call, Jenny. I didn't mean to bother you.
Mayor Jameson,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner James.
Here.
Commissioner Ladman.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Prior to the approval of the agenda, I need a motion to table the High Springs Chamber of Commerce update and change it to August 9th meeting. If somebody would.
I would make such a motion that we table the event until August
9th.
9th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion and a second to revise the agenda as stated. Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is revised. At this point in time, we're going to have a little presentation on a community development block grant. This will be this. Excuse me? Yes, ma'am. I apologize, and I got a presentation. So, approval of the minutes for June 28th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 28th, 2018 Commission meeting.
Second.
I have a first and a second on approval of the minutes for June 28th. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes. At this point in time, we got a brief presentation of certificates of completion of the 2018 Institute for Elected Municipal Officials to Vice Mayor Linda Jones and to Commissioner Nancy Lavin. At this point in time, I'll read it to you and then I'd like to give it to them, please. Basically, it's just a certificate of completion. Commissioner Nancy Lavin, City of High Springs, June 8th through 10th, and they both went there and completed this course. So I applaud both of them for taking their time and going and do that, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So at this point in time, we'll go into the community block grant, the second hearing, and I will turn it over to you if you would. Fill us in, please.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Fox. I'm with Fred Fox Enterprises. The purpose of tonight's public hearing is to review the proposed activities in the City of High Springs Community Development Block Grant application. The applications are due August 13th, and this will provide an opportunity for the citizens to comment on the proposed activities. There are two main activities. Under service area number 1, it will be water line replacement. And this will be, the activities proposed in this service area will be the replacement of existing undersized potable water lines in the service area with 6-inch and 8-inch water lines. Approximately 6,600 linear feet of replacement potable water lines will be installed. And for a list of the streets, we have a proposed narrative over here if the public would like to look at that. The second service area will include improvements to the Walter Howard Neighborhood Park. The activities in this service area proposes to add new play structures for 2 to 5-year-olds, a jungle gym, additional picnic facilities, and additional swings in the park. The city is eligible to apply for $700,000 of CDBG funding. There is also a resolution tonight for an additional $50,000 of city matching funds. That also provides extra points in your application. At this time, we will open it up for any public comment.
At this point, anyone in the community wish to make a comment on this? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And at this point in time, we will proceed on to item number 4. Ms. Fox, can you explain just quickly as we go into these 3 resolutions what they are, please?
Yes. Basically, number 4 is a resolution authorizing the submission of this application. And this is required to be in the application. It's basically just saying that you desire to submit an application to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity and that you're authorizing the mayor to sign all documents.
Okay. Mr. Walker, you want to go ahead and do your thing here on these, please?
Yes, sir. Is this resolution 2018L? Is that the one?
M.
Let me get to it right quick. I'm going a little slow. I apologize. I have a paper copy of it. I'll do that. Resolution authorizing the submission of an application to the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant for the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity for the federal fiscal year of 2017. The appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2018-M as read by title only.
Any comments? Audience? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we pass Resolution 2018M.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Jenny?
Mayor Jameson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Lavin?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Number 5, Mr. Walker?
Resolution authorizing the use of $50,000 of the City of High Springs funding as leverage for the Small Cities Neighborhood Revitalization Community Development Block Grant application the city is submitting to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity for federal fiscal year 2017. Appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2018-N as read by title only.
Comments? Ms. Fox, just restate this again. We're putting in $50,000 and we would have the opportunity to get how much?
$700,000.
Okay, so we put 50 and we can get 700,000.
Right.
Okay, I mean, I just want to make sure people understand that what we're looking at. And the other thing I wanted to ask you before, 6-inch to 8-inch pipes. Do we know what the size of the pipes are there now?
Tim Norman, Midtower and Associates. They're in a range, but typically 2 to 4 inches, a little bit of 6 in there, but they're undersized pipes.
I thought they were the 2-inch like a regular deal. So besides replacing them, we're increasing the capacity of the pipes too.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
Some of them are inappropriate pipes.
Agreed. I mean, that's
And wood and...
sorely needed. Sorely needed. Do I have a motion for Resolution 2018N?
I move that we approve Resolution 2018-N.
A second.
I have a first and a second. Any other comments? Hearing none. Roll call, Jenny.
Vice Mayor Jones? Yes. Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Lavin?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Jameson?
Yes. And then number 6, Mr. Walker.
A resolution of the City of High Springs authorizing the implementation of the long-term and short-term objectives of the City of High Springs Community Development Plan. The appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2018-0 as read by title only.
Any comments? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2018-0.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Jenny, roll call?
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Ladden?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Jameson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones? Yes.
I want to make sure, and I know everybody up here, and I guess being in this seat, you got to say something. I guess I can't thank you guys enough, along with Mr. Booth and you guys and the people. We replaced the water lines here. We're going to replace these one here, go from 2-inch. Some of them are electrical conduit lines, folks. So you got to understand we're running water through electrical conduit to 4 to 6 inch type of deal. So and you're going to have shutoff valves like we did before. I'm assuming yes. So we don't have those either. So when you have a water line, the water just flows. There's no way to shut it off, and we get a natural swimming pool. So I can't thank you all enough, Mr. Booth and the staff. This is something that's been long overdue and extremely positive for the city. And I think any last things you need to say on this?
No, but just to let you know that we were out in the area today finishing up the door-to-door surveys. Because this is a HUD grant, we had to make sure that the area would be 51% low to moderate income. And just from the feedback from the community of the residents, they are very excited about this grant and opportunity for the city and look forward to much better water. So.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Jenny, do I need to sign so they can leave? Do I need to go ahead and sign these? That's the only one? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't. It's not done. Hold on, folks.
The city's business here.
Yeah. You what? Yeah.
Bear with us for just a minute, folks. Okay. At this point in time, we'll have citizens' requests and comments. These are for issues not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record. Limit your comments to 5 minutes. Gary?
My name is Terry Hull, and tonight I'd like to comment on an issue that has been before this commission over the last several meetings concerning the advanced life support issue. And I have to tell you that I have been in favor of that personally from the first time it was presented. But July the 15th, on Sunday morning at 6:30 a.m., My wife had a massive stroke. I believe that the firemen that arrived and the ambulance people that arrived did the best they could based on their qualifications. I would like to see our people more qualified should it be your family member that needs them next. And I know that once you've had the experience of having people come and basically are just transportation, there's nothing else they can do along the way except on a bumpy road try to insert a IV. The issue at hand will be a great benefit to our community, even though it will cost my church an additional 2 fire assessments over and above what we have paid in the last 15 years. Each year we pay an assessment on the parsonage and an assessment on the church. So that will increase our assessment by $160 if my math is not too fuzzy. But yet I believe the value to the community and to each member in the community will be far greater than the one-time or at least this annual expense. And so I want to commend the commission and the fire department for moving in that direction, and I pray indeed that you are moving in that direction for the future of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. We wish your wife the best, and you. Any other comments? Close citizens' request to move on to new business. Item number 1 is just an overview of the proposed 2018-19 budget. Mr. Booth?
Yes, sir. As required by the charter, I'm presenting you a balanced budget. That means the expenditures do not exceed the revenues. So it is indeed balanced. Just a few comments. Number 1, it was based on an ad valorem, and I know that's number 2, but it was based on the difference between the rollback and the current, and it makes it at 5.88. Just as an example, when I first got here 5 years ago, it was 6.4. And so we have reduced that down because of the growth and because we have been more efficient in what we're doing. This also includes the additional ad valorem. The ad valorem, the homes worth $100,000 to $125,000 have an additional $25,000 homestead exemption, and we have calculated the cost at $55,000, and that's in the budget also. So this year it's really giving back to the community. This is based on the budget is based on raises for the employees. There are 58 of them full time, and they are going from 10% to 15%, and that's based on the Evergreen study. And this gets them to the bottom of it. It doesn't get them to the middle or the top. It gets right there at the bottom. But I believe our employees need a wage that they can live on. So this is very important. We've been putting off raises for the department heads. This budget includes a 7%, 7 to 8, depends on. And the raises aren't just an average. They're given based on the Evergreen study. And some employees get more than others based on what they do and their qualifications. The budget also contains $35,000 for computers and servers, and it has $100,000 worth of contingency. And we really roll that contingency normally back into reserves. The police department, and they'll present this at the first workshop meeting, want to lease vehicles rather than purchase them. So they'll make a presentation at that. And then it also includes paving railroad and 3 other paving projects. And that is, in a nutshell, the budget. And we will get down to the details on the two budget meetings, and there is no time for that. I will have all the directors here, and we'll go in detail as much as you want.
What are the dates for those? August 14th.
Yeah, next month will be a meeting month. We'll have workshops and council meetings and CRA meetings and meetings to be having.
Yeah. The 2 Tuesdays you guys picked for this workshop next month is the exact same Tuesdays that the chamber meets.
Well, I would tell you should come here. We're going to be more interested.
Well, really, I guess not a whole lot of questions now. The questions will come at the workshop. So appreciate the overview, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Booth. Item number 2 is to consider Resolution 2018-L. Mr. Walker.
This is Resolution 2018-L, a resolution of the City of High Springs, Florida, determining the amount of and fixing the proposed tentative rate of ad valorem taxation for the fiscal year 2018 through 2019, and providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date. Appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2018-L as read by title only.
Comments? Jennifer, clarify what the current rate is, and it's going down. It's 6 I'm not sure, 6.1 something, or?
No, it's 5.99.
Oh, it's 5.99 right now?
And 59970.
Okay.
It'll go to 5.88.
Okay.
What remember, if this is the tentative, so if we set it at 5.88, that is the highest. Only go down from there.
Correct. No, I got you.
So is the rate that we're proposing is the 5.99, Jennifer, or is it the
5.88.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
rollback is 5.77.
And then we should announce when the time is for the actual selecting of acknowledgement of the budget, and that'll be Thursday, September 13th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. at the High Springs Commission Chambers, 23718 West U.S. Highway 27, High Springs, Florida. And that'll be the time for the public hearing to adopt the budget.
So the resolution 2018-L has in there a 5.88 is what we have, as opposed to the rollback. It's like a compromise between the two.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So these 2 documents that we have, one of them has 5.9970 and the other one has 5.7714, and I know you're looking in between that, but I'm not seeing those numbers here, or I don't know how to read it correctly.
When we sent that out, we just had sent out the rollback and then what it was last year. So there will be another resolution that will be prepared, and the mayor will sign it on Monday.
Okay. And will that cover the additional positions that we've needed to add to the budget for the mowing that we have recently?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay.
That was actually put in this year's budget, but it carries over.
Okay.
And it also, you mentioned that we're purchasing one more mower as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is not, this is, the budget is based on the funds generated from this and other fees. We're not bringing any money in from contingency or anything like this to make this.
From where, I'm sorry?
From contingency or anything like this. This is solely operating, is going to come from the funds available.
Same as we've always done it,
Right.
and we always put $100,000 in contingency.
Right.
That sits there, as well as putting the $75,000.
The 75.
That we put, that, the 75,000 cash that we
Right.
have, a resolution, no.
Yeah, we
So
started
we
that.
$1 million.
We did that, what, Jenny, 2 years ago for the 75 for the
And I
cash
believe-
deal? Okay.
Yeah, and I believe that'll take us to 575 or 650 as far as cash in there.
Okay. All right. So at this point in time, if there's no comments, do I have a motion?
Do you want the motion to be approving the resolution with the 5.8800?
You would need to state
Okay.
the numbers, right, Scott?
All right.
That's
so
correct.
I will make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2018-L with the figure 5.8800.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to pass Resolution 2018-L with the rate set at 5.88. Roll call, Jenny?
Commissioner Levin?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Yes.
And Mr. Booth, tell me once again before we go into number 3, when you came here, the ad valorem rate was what?
6.4.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Moving on to number 3, review and rank the architectural firms for architectural services. Mr. Booth?
Yes, sir. As required, we had an architectural review committee. We only had 2 applications. James Moore was the one applicant that.
This is the architect.
Oh, architecture, I'm sorry. I'm a little ahead of myself. Okay, the architectural review, this one came from the building department. What they're asking for is if there are any projects out there such as bathrooms or having to modify anything or anything, they would like to have an architectural firm on call rather than go through the process of having to advertise and then select and then come to the council. They would like to do that now and just have it in their pocket. There are no large projects that they're looking to do. We'd love for them to do some, but right now we're concentrating on the sewer.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, what does on-call mean to, as far as the budget is concerned?
Ma'am? Oh, it has 0 impact. Because we're not hiring them only when we have a project, and they'll have to come to the council, and then we'll have an architectural firm to do that.
Okay, so it's paid per project?
It's per project, that's right.
Okay.
So I have a question. The second firm in my packet, which is, I'm sorry, Brom Heck Architects. They are the architects that did the Farmers Market Pavilion, according to the packet that they gave to us.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we chose a different architect and then we go to finally do this Farmers Market Pavilion, would that create any conflict?
It would not, because we've already hired them to do. They have
So
already
they
done
would-
all the architecture. We have a shovel-ready project. We're simply waiting for the county to say the land is available, and then we're ready to go.
Okay. And then if there had to be revisions to that, and the other firm was the firm we chose?
This one still is locked in to do
Okay,
it.
okay. Does staff have any recommendations?
I think that my understanding is that it depends on the project. We're going to use whatever one at the time.
Right.
It will meet our needs at the time.
For that
So
project.
these are just-
Yeah, we're recommending we take all of them.
Yeah, there are.
And then based on the need for the project and whoever it is, we've already got them selected.
So what exactly how do we go about approving this, Mr. Walker or Jenny? When you did, what is the process to do this?
We would accept both of the
Okay. Okay. So somebody up here want to repeat that into a motion and we'll go from
Okay.
So we would need a motion to accept these two and then authorize the city manager to enter a contract. I would ask the new attorney over here, Rich, that'd be correct. You sat there so quiet all night, man. I wanted to get you in the game here.
That's exactly, the city attorney would draft up the contract. I think it's the city manager, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
We'll do the draft.
Okay.
We'd be happy to.
So moved.
Perfect. So I have a first and a second to approve the two architectural firms, authorizing the city manager with the attorneys to enter into a contract agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none is passed. We got to you guys. Thanks for staying. Number 4, to consider approval of engineering services agreement with Midtown Associates. God bless them for the expansion of the wastewater treatment facility. You made my night, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a long time coming, and as the mayor well remembers, Tim Norman and I were here some years ago recommending we focus on other city priorities because you didn't have the growth at that time or the need for the expansion. Well, we're back these years later, and I don't even myself remember how many years exactly.
It's 2011.
So 2011, and we're here with some good news, and you've heard it over these years. You've made tremendous progress in both water and sewer efforts with infrastructure, almost entirely paid for with grant funding. And the next step we're here to recommend is to go forward with the design of the wastewater treatment facility expansion. It is needed to start now, in our opinion, because of the growth that has come back to High Spring.
All right, what we've got before you here is a contract. Basically, your existing plant is rated for 240,000 gallons a day. You're flowing roughly 75% capacity, 75-80%. We're going to double that capacity to 480,000 gallons a day. The approximate cost of that is going to be in there about $3 million. So the funding for this is the city has impact fee monies, wastewater impact fee monies, and those have a shelf life. Basically, you're only allowed to keep impact fee money for about 7 years, and then you either got to spend them or return them. So it is something that eventually you're going to need to get off the books. But we've kind of broken our proposal here into two phases. The first phase is design and permitting. That fee is $290,000. That would be paid by the impact fee monies. The idea of funding this is we're going to go to water management, the Springs funding, to hopefully fund the entirety of the construction aspect of the project of the $3 million. So that will be in upcoming cycles through the Springs process. We've had discussions with them. They are supportive of that. Again, a lot of the reason for this expansion is that we've got a project that's getting ready to get started, taking septic tanks off the system. Got another one that's going to be funded to do that. So you're taking big chunks of capacity in one shot when you do that, and plus you're having growth in the area as well. So again, the design phase is $290,000, and then when we get to the construction phase, which will be a little bit down the road, but hopefully not too far, because we don't want to get behind where we're all of a sudden in a moratorium situation and can't connect new people. So it's going to take approximately a 2-year process from the time we start design to the time construction's finished. You're looking at about 2 years. So 2020, the new plant should be online. So the services during construction will be about $270,000. So that's what we have before you. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
How does this tie in now with the wetlands project that's currently?
Yes, it ties in directly. The wetlands project that we're doing is an alternate means of disposing of the water, treating it to even a higher level before it goes in the ground. That project is under design. We're designing for the entire thing. We're going to build the first portion of that, the 240,000 gallons. The next phase will be a subsequent funding from water management to build the remainder of that.
So you'll have to expand that project when we bring the new plant
Yes, ma'am.
portion online.
Yes, ma'am.
So that'll be another project as we
But it
go.
will all be designed, we're designing both phases initially. We're already in contract to do that. So we'll design both phases, just be ready to go to construction at that point. And those could be potentially rolled in to the same construction contractor, depending on the timing.
Any other questions?
The Audubon Society on the wetlands project wants to come before the council, and I'll bring them here in about a month or so, and they want to explain that they want to put in like deer stands or something for people to look at the birds. They feel that we're in an area that is more conducive than Gainesville for all the wildlife and that coming through here, and they would like to put up a gazebo, stands and that for their people to come and look. They're going to, it'll be at their cost, and so they need to explain what they want to you.
I talked to a lady yesterday who's a birder, and these people travel all over the world to look at birds, and the wastewater treatment plants are where they get the best bird shots. And I found that extraordinarily fascinating.
There are some issues that have to be looked at. Our wastewater does not meet what's known as high-level disinfection, which is required for public to come in contact with. And that doesn't mean that they can't look at things, but technically the site's supposed to be fenced and restricted from the public coming on it. So there's issues, and the only current access is through the plant site itself. We obviously don't want them coming through the plant site itself to look at birds. So there has to be some other issues resolved if that's going to happen.
There is a road outside that goes up there, and so there probably could be a parking lot or something. I don't know. I need them here to explain it to us. And with birds, I just knew there was a song that their word is a word. That's as much as I know about birds. But yes, they can swim in the ponds, and we'll make sure of that.
Okay. So when they come with their proposal and so forth, I'm assuming you guys have to be involved with
We'll
that
be there,
to make
absolutely,
sure.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so.
We may have a meeting before they come before you all,
I'm
just to
saying,
make sure we're all on the
because obviously
same
they would
page.
have to run it by you to get approval. There would be no reason for them to come see us if you guys would turn around and say, what do you?
We're going to try to make it work. Our goal is to make it
Agreed.
that will work. So.
Okay, so when it comes to us, what should be there is something that you guys would approve, and then it would just be to us to go from there.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
That is also a plus with Swanee River. I mean, they're very much into that kind of thing, and it gives us the publicity and everything else that goes with it.
Right. Okay, well, if we can do it, like I said, but with them on deck and Mr. Walker and Rich doing it, I think we're in good hands. Thank you.
I propose that we approve the engineering services agreement with Midtower and Associates for the expansion of the wastewater treatment facility.
Second.
I got a first and a second. Any other comments?
Just one comment. The last time we did it, which wasn't too long ago, it was $600,000. Their cost is just under half.
We're not designing as complicated a plan.
My understanding there's two contracts, one for the 290 for the design, and one for the 270 for construction.
Mr. Mayor, that is correct, but what we're asking and recommending approval for is for the 290 to be paid for with the impact fees tonight.
Right.
The additional funding will be in a separate contract we expect with DEP Springs funding.
Okay, so it won't be impact.
No, no, ma'am.
Right, that's what I understood. So basically, the only money coming out of it is the 290 is what we're putting into it. What would the total thing cost again to do the whole deal?
It's the construction's roughly $3 million. So
Okay.
you're roughly looking at, with engineering and everything,
10% we're
3.6 total is what you're looking at.
So we'll put probably about 8% is what we would be putting into it. 10% if it was 300,000, 3 million.
Construction is what you're putting in.
What's that?
10% of construction.
Yeah, 10% of the construction of the deal. Okay. All right. So I have a first and a second. to approve the agreement with Midtown Associates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it's approved. I thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm assuming the day will come and we're not going to see you. Okay? And I would like to say I'd like to expedite that, but that's in a good way.
Yeah.
That's in a good way. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Number 5, consider awarding contract for auditing services.
There, I get to talk now. Okay, we had an audit committee, and actually Courtney was the chair of that committee. We looked at 2 proposals. One didn't meet our requirements, and only James Moore does. What we would like to do is permission to negotiate with James Moore. Even though they came up with a price, they are willing to negotiate. And since I am the negotiator.
Questions?
The reason that you want to go with them is because the other firm didn't have all the criteria that were asked for in the request. Okay.
The particular certification that they had pending is one that blends the auditing and the IT together. And the person that James Moore has helped us to find where people were not getting zero consumption. So James Moore has helped us find revenue in years past. So that's kind of a particular thing that is required for most auditing now, to have somebody like that can blend the 2 together.
And they are also a local firm versus the other firm that's from out of the area, correct?
Yes, ma'am. This particular office is in Bradenton, but their home office is in Atlanta.
Okay.
I think that part of their field work will be done via telecommunications stations. It would not be not when you have people. I'd rather come to see the city.
So you're recommending that the contract goes to James Moore? Is that's what you guys, that's what the recommendation?
That's what the committee recommended.
Okay, I just want to make sure, so.
And in their proposal, as the city manager stated, they are prepared to, they said because of budget things, they understand that they will be willing to negotiate. Yeah.
Okay. Before we entertain anything, Mr. Walker and Rich, on this one here, when you say negotiate, do we put how do we go about doing this? I don't think you want to put a ceiling because that sort of tips your hand. So, do we just basically give Mr. Booth the authority to negotiate and then?
I think there'll be 2 ways that he approaches it. One is their hourly rate. Who are they going to have on the budget? The auditors that'll be here, who specifically, and what are the rates? And then my other anticipation is that he'll look at years going by. What have the audits cost the city? We can look at surrounding communities that are in similar situation. What are they paying for their audit? And we should be able to come with a pretty good lump sum number of what the audit's going to cost.
And they've also given us a max that they would charge. So, and there's 2 parts to both proposals, and that's the primary audit and then what's called a single audit, and we're going to have to probably do a single audit. Single audit is anytime you get grant funding of over $750,000, which Mr. Booth has gotten us, which you pay.
It's single.
Yeah. And it's a good thing, not to have to pay somebody, but when you get that much grant funding, it is a good thing. So they do have a ceiling on what they proposed. So and we also have a proposal from the other company. I think that we will get them somewhere in between.
So this is in the next budget, and I'm assuming the funds are
yes, sir. They're in
allocated.
The one that you have.
Okay,
yes, sir.
I just want to make sure. So this is not something that has to be added. There is funds in there already.
potential could be the single audit. We are borderline. I feel like we may have to do a single audit. We're about 600,000. It depends on when we pay the new company, 5E, 2A, 5A.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's going to start this year, actually. We'll go and roll in. More than likely, you'll do a single audit for next year.
For sure next year.
Yeah.
Which would then come in the following year is our audit. So this proposal here is for really 18, for 17, 18, but it doesn't get done until 18, 19. So you budget like a year behind, in essence.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay them in the upcoming budget, the 18-19 budget.
Correct.
Is where the money. So is the money allocated in the 18-19 budget
Yes, sir.
for this?
Yes.
Okay,
we
that's
don't do the single audit till next year.
okay. I'm just saying. So we want to make sure that we're budgeting ahead for something that was already done, but the money's there. We're not going to have to go find the money for the audit.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I'm going to. Okay. So at this point in time, unless there's any other, is to award the contracting, motion award the contracting services to James Moore. Right? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we award contract for auditing service to James Moore and Company.
Second.
I have a first and a second to award auditing services to James Moore. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Negotiate, Mr. Booth.
Yes, sir.
And do a very good job.
Number 6, review of the amended Civic Center rental agreement.
Yes, sir. What we're really saying is we want people to put money in deposit for cleaning. We give the Civic Center away a lot, and there are some that don't have a problem and clean it right up, and there are others that leave it a mess. We feel that because we give it to you, you need to clean it up, or we're going to take your deposit and we will clean it up.
This also has the rentals for the Civic Center and the Post Friends room and the Santa Fe room. And if you want to, we've had some inquiries on the ball fields for people that want to come and have tournaments. So Robert and Jenny and I have met and gone over this contract and updated, and we think we've got everything that we could possibly think of. We did, the rates are, there's a rate sheet that will have to come back to you as a resolution. This is information only, but there is also a waiver sheet here, a facility waiver for cost, and or potentially the whole thing gets waived, or you might just have to, as Mr. Booth said, pay for the utility or the cleaning. We are hiring somebody that is going to go back to cleaning. We unfortunately right now we've had a little hard time finding somebody, so we've been kind of having Robert's crew cleaning up and stuff, and then requiring, of course, the people that are renting it to do their checklist, and we are checking just this. With spending the money that we spent there, we just wanted to maintain how nice it is and all of that. We've got nothing but wonderful compliments about how nice that is. So this is basically information, and then the rates will come back as a resolution.
We don't have a copy of that.
We don't have the rate sheet.
Okay.
No.
Okay, because he did. We will bring, well, that comes back as a resolution anyway.
What's the deposit amount that you're asking for the Civic
The
Center?
deposit amount will go to $150.
Okay. Because 75 isn't enough. You need to be getting more than
Yeah,
that.
and if they're using the PA system, it's $200.
Okay.
Because the PA system was pretty pricey.
invest it only one time if you keep it clean.
Right.
Right.
You
and
don't,
we'll-
we take the money away from you, make you put more money up.
We also will be renting half days
Only fair.
instead of giving the whole day. There's prices for a whole day and there's prices for half day. So that, again, will come next meeting as a resolution.
I think it clearly states what you want them to do. I think if they don't understand what they're supposed to do after they read all that,
Robert is very good about.
Right, no, it's very clear.
Excellent, and he couldn't be here tonight, he had another thing, so he asked me to, but he did an excellent job.
Very clear and very concise about what the responsibilities are when they're there.
Byron, with that cleaning, you really need some good equipment to clean the place up, because some.
Yes, we are going to buy.
It's awful.
I agree.
Because one of those brooms, I had to bend over to try to push it.
We'll go in there and make sure that we're also hiring a cleaning person here. That'll be the same cleaning person that goes over there. So, but for the people who use it, need to clean up after themselves, we'll have plenty of stuff for it.
No, you're talking about the brooms or the mops?
Both.
Well, no, I agree with you on the mops. We tried to find something else, but the floor that we put down has to have that kind of mop. So I know that Robert was going to get a couple more. Is it because they're too short?
Yeah, too short.
Too short.
And
well,
too narrow.
You're
too tall.
Too narrow.
Too narrow.
But I can mention to Robert, see if we can get one with a longer handle. But those because I agree, I wanted like a wide one, and we can't find them anywhere, and those are what they recommend. We are getting a second mop, the big mop, so I think that'll help too, to have those. But when he put cleaning stuff in, he's a young single guy that probably never cleans. No offense, but I'm like, Robert, where's the rags and get a bucket. I said, just get Clorox wipes where they can wipe it down and throw them away. Right. So we're getting there.
The other thing is, do they have the cleaners for the floor? Because you probably need a particular cleaner to use on that floor, like the lotion or solution or whatever.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
It's underneath the sink.
Okay.
And I think that's explained in here.
Okay.
And it tells how what size.
Okay.
How much to use and all of that.
And also, put a sign up there, especially in the men's room, over the toilet. Do not put paper in them.
Okay. Yeah, I thought there was signs. They may have taken them down when they did the renovations.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. I'll make some nice signs to put up there.
On this one application, it says they can pay a $75 cleaning fee. Do you think that's enough? Okay.
Because we already are going to have somebody that comes in there once a week, 4 hours, to do like the deep cleaning.
Okay.
But we'll have, I think some.
Okay. Cover that person's time if you have to send them back over there. Okay.
So, and I've got another question. So now, you said the sound system. You need a IT person to figure out how to work the thing.
And actually, I think that if you put the deposit down for the PA system, they'll actually do a little tutorial for you and show you how to use it.
Okay. But the mics was fine, but the battery won't go out so fast on. But say like if they got the you can plug up to your cell phone to play music or whatever.
It wasn't working. I think Robert did take a little tutorial for himself as well. But I will mention that to him to make sure that, but yeah, anybody that puts the deposit down, we'll make sure they know how to use it. We'll take him or David Sutton will take him over and show him.
Okay. And tell me your heavy duty batteries, because those cordless mics, for some reason they use up batteries so fast.
Extra batteries, okay.
Yeah, heavy duty.
Heavy duty?
Heavy duty.
So, Mr. Walker, Rich, I would have a question. I don't see anything in this agreement where there's any insurance on their part or any waiver towards holding us harmless. So if somebody slips and falls on the floor because of theirs and they sue us, there's nothing in here. They're not having to provide any certificate of insurance, and there's nothing in here like a hold harmless type of wording in it. So I have an issue with those, at least one of those not being in there. I know that we don't want to charge somebody a certificate of insurance holding the city harmless as an additional insured. I have a problem with there being nothing in there stating that. So help me out.
Well, hold harmless is at a minimum where, that doesn't cost the person that's using the anything. Many public institutions require that you have a public liability policy up to $1 million oftentimes.
Agreed.
So that it's one of those, and Mr. Mayor, I think we had this discussion, I think it was 6 months ago or something, and I'm trying to.
We have insurance. Yeah. And our insurance covers that building and everybody. But what we would like to do is for the individuals that are renting it to have a hold harmless agreement.
That should be on the application.
It should, and we'll make sure that.
I think they ought to have insurance, depending on the certain things. And I know we don't want to do anything. We have an insurance.
We have it.
But that doesn't prevent them from suing us if there's something in this. And I live in a world now where I get it all the time.
I agree.
So if somebody does it, it's their fault. They're going to sue us. Somebody comes to that reception, somebody comes out, and they get hurt.
Right.
They will sue us.
I agree.
Somewhere there needs to be in there that the person who is renting it assumes the liability for the time they're there,
right.
And they hold us harmless, is what I'm saying.
Right.
If we don't want to make them get a certificate of insurance, to me there should at least be words within the application, the standard hold harmless, that they understand they are responsible if something happens in there.
Well, I can work with Rich and.
Well, let's make sure. I mean, everybody's got to be in agreement.
Well, they could do that, or in lieu of an insurance certificate. So if they didn't want to take that responsibility, then they could get a rider, and that would.
And we also have, through our insurance company, we can actually do a 1 day or a weekend, like if they wanted to get insurance through us in the city, they could do that as well.
Yeah, but what you're requiring them, say they have a reunion, and that happens a lot there, and you're requiring them to go out there and get $1 million. It would be a whole lot easier if they just have
either to do one or the other. If they don't want to sign and take the responsibility,
right,
then the other option is they could get the insurance rider, is what I'm saying.
I know, and that wouldn't happen because the cost of just 1 day would still be $100.
A 1 day isn't. Like if it's a big reunion, it really, if you look at the cost, it's like because I was messing with it and I just did an event and it was like $150.
Yeah, that's good.
So, I mean, if it was something big, they could do that. If that's your all's decision, we can get that put into the contract.
Yeah, we could do that.
I want to make sure everybody, and I'm not imposing, I mean, on the deal, I understand you have groups that they can't afford the 150.
Right.
I get it. I don't know where the line is drawn. But we leave ourselves open by not having by not bringing insurance, by not covering ourselves. We're assuming all the liability now. The person who's renting it is assuming no liability.
Right.
Somewhere we have to have language in this one here where they assume liability, they hold us harmless, and so forth. At least within this, that's the least I think we should do, is at least have if we don't want to do the certificate, I have an issue with that, but I get it. I mean, I get it. But I believe that within this document, the application form, there should be language in there that basically the City of High Springs is hold harmless and the basic language. I mean, we have it in all of ours.
Can you find that if you go to the amusement parks or whatever?
It's everywhere.
Right. You know, you are really saying you're hold harmless. Unless they do something that's so egregious.
Well, we would have to, that doesn't keep us if we're negligent. The hold harmless doesn't if we're negligent, if it's our fault.
Right.
But if it's something that they do, they're gonna come sue us because we're the big pockets. So we need something to protect us.
Right.
So I don't know. I would like, me personally, to see the rental application form revised to where there's a paragraph in there of a hold harmless indemnity type of thing within the form. If we don't want to charge, if we don't want to do a certificate, okay, I get that. I'm not,
So
at least we need the language.
We could do both, if that's what y'all want. We could put in the whole harmless, or if you don't, they don't want to be responsible, and they want to provide insurance. And some of them may have it. It could be an event where a group already has insurance that's covered.
They got to have the whole harmless. That's not an option.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not an
They have
option.
to sign that.
Right. They're coming in there, they're going to assume the responsibility if they're at fault. Rich, you want to say something?
I would tend to agree with you on that. I think we just put a standard hold harmless and we put it in bold font, and it's very clearly know that there's imminent risk. Even without it, I would argue that they're assuming some risk there, but it's better to just have it in there. It won't be a problem to put that together.
It's not just with the Civic Center, because we're also looking to rent out.
This is, I'm saying it's on the rental form.
It's on the rental,
The old
because we're
school
looking to
facility.
rent out our fields.
Same thing.
And some kid could get beamed by a ball or something.
Right,
Yeah.
And that would, so I'll
Just get some language.
And
I
we'll bring
mean,
it back
is
to
everybody
you.
okay with them at least putting that in there?
Yeah.
Are we
Yes.
okay? I mean,
Yeah,
I
we
understand
need
the
it.
certificate,
Yeah.
I'm not, and I get you.
Do you want us brought that to you, or you just want us, as long as they're okay with it?
It's very standard.
I think we can vote on this with the amendment of the hold harmless on each one of these applications.
There's only one application, because it
Okay.
covers everything.
Okay.
So it would just be on that one form, and
Okay.
the others are the checklist to do what they need to do. Byron, you want to say something?
Yeah, and the problem I have with, like some groups going to get insurance. Use, for example, the Alabama Alumni Association. We're gonna get insurance, because we can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta, say a family union come in.
Yeah.
They can't afford to,
Well, they don't even have the time to get it.
no, for a 1 day or 2 day
Yeah.
event. And so that's my biggest problem with it. Because it is a civic center.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for the citizens
Sure.
of High Springs.
I agree.
And for us to rent it, we have a nice place to have
Mhm.
functions. So I don't want to make it so hard that people don't want to rent the place.
No, they're just going to sign, hold on.
So is everybody, is that okay if we just get that language in there? If we don't want to do that, that's fine, but let's get the language in there. Rich?
Absolutely, we'll do that. Maybe another thought too is depending on what the event is, I mean, don't necessarily write it into this particular document, but if we find out what the event is and it's going to be a prolonged 3, 4, 5 day deal or something like that, then maybe we say at that point, well, then we will require insurance on something like that. Won't necessarily put it in this form contract, but if, under the right circumstances, maybe we consider that.
And we do have people that rent it for 2 and 3 days at a time.
So the question with, what's the group name? The dancers, with Mr. Bob.
Yeah,
So-
those are on Monday night.
So now, with that group,
No, that group has to clean up a.
no, of course, insurance-wise.
Well, I think as long as they sign the hold harmless, what I would hate to do is for us to give them that facility and then somebody slip and fall and they sue the city. So if they had a hold harmless agreement, then that wouldn't happen. He could sue the organization that puts out the music.
In that case, you're not going to get anything when you come here. I think it's just an intent. I mean, I think we just need to have something in it so that people understand. I would consider on the deal is put something on there, put like a little box, a certificate of insurance required, yes or no. And if you had a 3-day deal, then you would just check off that the certificate of insurance is required. 99% of the times you're going to check no. The one time the guy comes in, you check yes. But have it on the form for that odd experience where somebody's going to come in and do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to charge it. but the form is on there in case the event would warrant it.
Jennifer just brought up a good point to me. There would also be the issue of, do we have every single person sign a waiver or a form like this, or would it just be one person on behalf of 100 people? And I would tend to say there, obviously it'd be more beneficial to us if everybody signed it, if that's...
That won't happen.
Right.
No. That's not going to happen. And even a hold harmless doesn't mean they're not going to sue. They're less likely to sue. But if you make it so difficult, we're not going to have anybody go to that civic center. You can do so many things litigious, having now going through law school.
Yes.
Thank you.
No,
I know that you can legalize yourself out of any use.
No, the person who signs the application form, that's the person who's accepting the responsibility.
I was just
Type of deal. You're not. No, you don't want to get it to where, and I'm going to defer to my colleague here. He's exactly right. We don't want to get so litigious and so forth that we make it unattainable. But how about if you bring something back, you put the language, and just put a box in here which says certificate of insurance required, yes or no. 99, you're going to say no.
We'll bring it back.
And then let us look at it.
We'll bring it back next meeting.
Okay.
With the things that y'all requested.
Okay.
And also, you mentioned saying something, they might could rent insurance through our insurance?
Yeah, we do have the ability to do that. There's a lot of, which I didn't realize this, I called our insurance company, they said, oh yeah, it happens all the time. They're a company, I can go right on there, or I can give the girls and they can type of event, how long it is, how many people, and it gives you a quote, insures them for the day.
It's additional insured endorsement is what they do.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's an additional insured endorsement.
And it comes through, that's part of our insurance. Well, those companies.
Maybe you do that as the yes or no.
I'll give an option.
Yeah, I mean, I will definitely we can do the option. So we'll add that
You
they
can
can
put
do
that
it.
just in there like a little section in the deal, give it the option.
And we can when they call, we can actually quote them because you put all their information in, it'll give you a price.
So we will have a provision that says that the applicant agrees to indemnify and hold the city harmless from any damages related to their use of the facility.
Injuries, okay.
And the city reserves the right to require insurance in an amount necessary based upon the use of the facility.
That's good.
That's perfect.
You got it.
Yeah.
I move that we bring this back next meeting with that language.
Okay, can you bring that back? Thank you.
And the fee schedule will come back as well.
And then the fee schedule at the same
At the
time.
next meeting as a resolution.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for doing this. Any other comments on that, guys? City attorney report, Mr. Wall?
I think
didn't
we're
think-
close on one of the cases. Yeah.
Oh, really?
As much as I'm going to say.
Yeah, we're
We're
good.
close.
Mr. Booth?
Yes, sir, even though I don't get hugged.
Mr. Booth, would you like a hug down there?
So I'm going to do a policy change. It'll have almost no impact except for, and I think it's only come up once in the last 5 years. It is if your spouse dies and you have, or your spouse has been in good standing with the city, then we're simply going to put you on the account. Because in years past, we didn't allow the spouse to be on the account. And so what we're saying is there's unlikely event that your spouse dies and you've been here a while and you're in good standing. We're simply going to take the spouse and put it on the account. Yes.
I don't think the length of time you're here or the good standing has anything to do with it. We're either going to allow the spouse to go on, which I don't know why you wouldn't allow the spouse to go on. I would question what difference does it make if it's in good standing or not? Who's going to determine if it's in good standing or how many years? If I die, if my wife dies, I'm not on the water account. I came in and I did it, but let's say for the first 15 years I wasn't. So if my wife would have died, you would have told me I need my information on the account. What's the big deal? I give you my information.
Yeah, that's how we've been doing it. And I'm not opposed to changing that, but my one question would be, when we do change it, can we update the application? We have applications that are 30 and 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that, you know, this person and that person is not going to pay. I just am we're trying to get everybody to be on to have updated applications.
Mm-hmm.
And we, so if you all want to do it that way, I'm not opposed to it.
Well, it involved an increase in the deposit is why the issue came
Right,
to
and
light.
fair is fair. And we don't want to put any additional burden on somebody that's going through a problem with losing a spouse. I mean, we're a small town and we're user-friendly, and that's all I'm really saying.
So that it's only dealing with the spouse, because we also have, and this is where there's problems, is where there's a grandparent.
No, well, I'm not going to expand that. It is a spouse. It's not a renter. It's not anything. I'm doing it for a spouse.
But we can require them to do an updated application.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I can live with that.
Well, the updated application means what?
It means like we can have real information
No.
about you, like your driver's license. And we look at your Social Security. We do not copy your Social Security.
Thank you.
And we have a current address, phone numbers, some type of information. We have some people who just have their name, address.
So I guess my question is I don't think that's the issue. The issue would be is if I lived here 25 years and my deposit on the deal is $20, and now all of a sudden for me to have it changed over, the current is $100. I'm just throwing a number out there. I'm going to ask you, why is my deposit going up simply for putting my name?
No, that won't change.
Okay, so there is no change in the deposit.
No, all we're going to ask is for an updated application.
Just updated everything. I don't think
And then we'll
that's
make a name change on the same account.
Because this person was asked for updated deposit, and that's what.
Right, so I'm just saying,
Well, it's not just it's just not the.
Okay. But let's just clarify, what we're talking about is you would have to get updated information for the person who's there.
Correct.
What we're basically saying is that there would be no different, we're not going to do anything with the deposit.
Right.
Because it's not changing hands specifically, it's staying within the family from the spouse. So get the updated information,
But no updated
but we're not
deposit.
changing deposit because
No.
it stays the same. Is it? Ryan? I mean, are you okay? I mean, does everybody understand? I just want to make sure we understand what we're saying. Okay.
As long as it's limited to spouse, because like Jennifer was going to say, there's going to be some other ones that's going to come up with that same thing.
It will, my change of policy will only be spouse.
Okay. Spouse, update information, but the
Yes.
deposit remains the same.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
But for most of them, there really shouldn't be a deposit. If you're just updating the information, am I correct?
Well, deposit that's on file is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the old one.
That doesn't change.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I'm not adding
Okay.
anything more, but like now, if I did it 15 years ago and the deposit was 20, and now we get 50, they don't have to give me $30 more to up it.
Okay.
The deposit stays the same.
Okay.
We're just updating the information.
Okay.
Nancy?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
I just wanted to point out too, it's not that we did not allow them to have names on the accounts in the past, because we didn't have a problem with it. It was just our software that we had at the time, and we would allow them to have more names on there, so it's not like we were against it. We didn't have the capability.
So you weren't discriminating against me when my name didn't go on? Just wanted to clarify.
We also sent out applications to everybody in September last year and asked for updated information, just saying.
Yeah, you did.
Well,
You did.
Just saying.
Okay,
She's right.
there was some issues,
I
one
remember.
issue.
okay. So we're all good on that?
Yeah.
Just get updated, leave the deposit as it is. Mr. Booth,
Yes, sir.
anything else?
Yeah, as many of you know, there is no election. Couldn't get anybody else to run.
Right.
What is it?
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, well, they found out, though, you had to fill out just as many paperwork as the paperwork for it, as if you did it. Well, congratulations,
Yes.
gentlemen. I know, you don't have to say.
Yeah, we.
Let me say this and then we'll go. No, I'll do it when it comes for commissioner's comment. I'll do that so we won't drag this out. I'll say something along those lines.
Right, and, you know, most of the last couple of weeks has been the budget and everything else at ALS.
You done?
Done.
Nancy?
I have one issue that I keep hearing from residents and specifically from businesses is the issue of our internet service being so poor here. And so I would like to ask the city if we can do a couple of things, and I don't mind being the legwork person, is to maybe reach out to Windstream and find out if they're going to upgrade the infrastructure. One of our businesses was actually told by Windstream that they were supposed to upgrade the infrastructure, but they weren't going to do it, so he'd just have to get 2 lines. And then the other thing is someone had heard that Cox was coming out here, maybe reaching out to them. Additionally, I reached out to Newberry, and I have some information they sent me, and I am woefully ignorant in the world of technology. So I don't understand a bit of what they sent me, but they did a study about internet service, and they are doing some talking to GRU to bring it out and possibly be a provider as a city, which is not at all where I think we want to go. But if we are going to grow our economic base business-wise, we have to do something for the internet issues, because my business is very low tech and I really wasn't affected by it. But I'm talking to these businesses and they are having a hard time doing business here and even considering leaving High Springs because of the internet. So I'd like to put that out there.
Right, so what I know is Cox is not coming out here. And the reason they're not, and they were in an expansion mode and now they're not, is that they're afraid that G5, which is really small antennas there that cover a square mile or so, and then you would get into their service and pay for that, and that would be high-speed internet. It's not here yet, and it's out east, and they're doing some of the cities at this time. Windstream is updating some of their service. To find out where, though, is impossible, because it's almost impossible to get somebody to talk to you from Windstream. But they are going around and doing some. We know because they cut our water lines if they do so. But as far as getting a grid map and saying this is the area, you can't get that detail from them. I'm not sure what, and they have subcontractors, and I'm not even sure they know, but there is some upgrading going on, and it doesn't bring you to broadband area. It brings you to a better DSL. And even that is probably a lot better than many people have. And so we are still trying to talk to anybody that will talk to, including the people with the G5. Because they came here once.
Right, they're in heavy litigation right now.
They
I did
are.
some research.
I know.
They've got a lot of litigation, and it doesn't look like they're expanding right now.
So, yeah, I agree with them. I would like, Cox is right there at the freeway. you know, and it's just ludicrous. You don't come across and provide service, but they have been instructed not to expand, and so they're not. And their position is there is a lot of people in East Gainesville that doesn't have cops, and they're not planning on going there either.
I didn't know that.
Let's continue to pursue it, Mr. Booth.
Yes, sir.
Because I would agree.
We don't want to lose any business
I
because
don't
of
want to step on your deal, but I think this is something we need to continue, because that is a constant type of deal.
It is.
So if you would, Eric May or whatever, somebody's this one, I do think it's something we need to pursue.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all.
Lori?
I've already indicated to you guys one of my issues, and that's the fact that both the Tuesdays that you guys picked for the budget workshop next week are the exact same Tuesday that I usually go to chamber. So I'm going to have to split. You can have one Tuesday, they can have one Tuesday.
Well, we might make them come up here. No.
I said I have to work it out that way.
Okay.
Secondly, are we having a food giveaway in the near future?
We called them and they haven't gotten back to us.
I talked to Frank.
You should.
Okay, well in that case I'm gonna be quiet and let you talk. Go ahead.
Okay.
Talking to the microphone now, because I never can hear you.
Hey.
I get around here.
Okay.
I can agree with that. I had
You want me to
the
get
same
that? Chief.
Yeah, they call me today, farm share. They're looking for a date in September, October.
Okay.
But basically, we want to make sure there's nothing else going on, nothing else in the fields back there. So we can sit down and kind of come up with a few dates and
We'll
then
do that.
ship it to them.
You bet. Sometime in September.
September, October. The only thing else I have is, what in the world going on with all these sticks back here?
You weren't here.
No. We're adjusting the budget to put in a cane depository over here. You know, like a rifle rack? But this will be a cane rack.
I don't want to be part of that, right?
None of us do, I promise you.
I thought you already were.
No, I'm not joining that club. That's all I have.
I have no.
Byron, I thought you was gonna bring this up. That's the National Night Out.
Well, I thought you was going to do it.
Mr. Booth didn't mention it.
Chief out there, but
Chief's gonna bring it up?
Yeah, you can.
Absolutely, we would like for you to participate in our National Night Out on August the 7th from about 5:30 to 8. And we got a lot of participation. A lot of folks are really enthusiastic about it, so am I. So we appreciate it if you could come out and join us.
But last year, and it was very nice. Had a good time.
Just hot.
It was hot.
It was hot. I can go this year. I can walk this year.
Great.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Well, first off, just welcome you back. Glad you're doing better from the surgery. Mr. Booth commented a minute ago, and I said a deal about the election and the fact that Byron and I were unopposed and not having to run. But let's be honest on the deal. He's been here a very long time, sporadically at times and so forth. I've been here much longer than I thought I would be, 6.5 years, and so we're going to go. You do that because you enjoy the people that you work with, the civility part, and it's here. You don't consider coming to a place that you don't get along with people. That's just not human nature. So this is a thank you to you guys. It wasn't that way when I first got on. So you do run because of the people you get to work with and the people you get to associate with. So I won't speak for Byron on that one on mine, but the decision to run again was based entirely upon the people that you work with and the environment that you're working in. And I thank you all for that and the staff and so forth. So I'll leave it at that, and glad you're better, and everybody else is, and I'm done. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion made.
So moved.